So tell me about it. I've been wanting to get some of their products or like just kind of like look into Scalar anyway. I've been um eating this stuff, which is the marine phytoplankton that's like boosted with Scalar energy.
Yeah, the one from Ascension Health.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Ascended Health, yeah.
Yeah, Ascended Health, I think. Yeah.
How is it? I've been thinking about buying it.
Dude, it's pretty wild. I can feel a little bit of a difference when because I have both. I have the one from Holland too. Um,
Okay.
and like especially right now because I'm honestly not eating much. I'm on the detox protocol with all the herbs and stuff. Um,
Yeah.
so I've been like eating my herbs. I actually need to do them right now, but eating my herbs and then doing like a spoonful of it or a teaspoon like maybe like 10 minutes later and like kind of letting it all mix, I guess. I think
Yeah.
that's fine. I'm pretty sure it's like you can eat the herbs and stuff with fruit anyway, so I figured it'd be
I think it's so interesting, when Brian posts like, what does he say? He says like, yeah, there's no secondary creation, right? So protein cannot become, you know what I mean? What he says like, what does he say when he posted it today? Let me go to the picture. I took it. So he was like, yeah, there's no second creature in nature. What is protein cannot become protein a second time by ingesting it, right? I just think that's so interesting because like every time I read something and everything, it just so much that points to this that yeah, right now I'm reading The Body Electric. You know that book?
no, I don't.
It's yeah, it's about we're electric beings, right? And it's about I've been reading like 20, 30 pages of it, and it's about regeneration and regeneration of limbs. And
Wow.
first, they only thought about like a plant that can regenerate parts of themselves, but not animals, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then some guy figured out that salamanders can actually regenerate their limbs, and lizards can,
Yep.
and it changed the whole paradigm because it's not only snails and weird little creatures; it's also like fully blown animals that can do it,
Mm-hmm.
right? And what's my point? Yeah, but it's just like yeah, it's just like this duality oneness thing. I just think it's so interesting that there's no second creature in nature. What is protein cannot become protein a second time. Like it's just so
Yeah.
interesting. Because marine
Yeah.
phytoplankton, it's amino acids, right? It's broken down, so it's already prepped.
It's like the most like when you talk about eating from source, it's like the closest thing on the
Yeah,
planet that we can consume that's besides sunlight, right?
yeah,
I mean, I'm sure there are other things, but like that's what Brian talks about. That's what he's like referring
yeah. Fruit, right?
to. Yeah, fruit is fruit and then marine phytoplankton. That's what he lives off of. And that's like,
Yeah, and it's just so beautiful. Like he says, like the oranges, it looks like fascia. Like one of my therapists is like, yes, like when she's going to describe the fascia, and so she uses the orange metaphor, right? And
mhm,
it looks like the lungs. So it's like it's just so beautiful. It's fucking beautiful.
mm, it is so cool. Yeah, I'm all about it. I think it's so like tell me, do you feel anything from that, the scalar thing?
Yeah. Okay. So I don't know the name of the brand, but you can. So it's I mean, it's subtle. So
Yeah.
right now I'm wearing this pyramid and a tensor ring on top as well. So I've been experimenting with tensor rings for about like yeah maybe like 6 months.
Okay.
Um, and it's very subtle. Sometimes I feel something, sometimes I don't. I just kind of trust in it and kind of lean into this. Let's call it new matrix direction, right?
Mm-hmm.
Uh, uh, but um, what? Let me tell you what I've been feeling. So I've been wearing the geometry, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have mine on.
That I kind of feel like
Right?
yeah, like because I have the sticker on my phone, and I've been crazy sensitive to it. So it's like when I touch my phone, like 3 minutes in, I'm feeling dehydrated and I'm feeling the beaming. Like seriously, I'm feeling it. I'm fucking like, what the
Yeah.
fuck? And it's like and right now it's better. It's like yeah, I want to say like 30% better. I feel it's kind of stopping something. I feel it, the phone. Yeah, I don't know if it's the phone or the signatures or both?
Yeah, so the signatures like work on your organs.
Yeah.
So they work on resetting and clearing subtle like energy blockages. So I think that's like has something to do with EMFs kind of blocking your sensory organs in general, like your ears and your eyes and your brain and stuff. Even because like I'll notice that too, and that didn't start until I kind of started wearing this thing too. Like I would be spending too much time inside, like or at work, and then like lights, LED lights would affect my vision, and like my brain would get kind of sensitive, and like even just being inside around like electronics, I would kind of feel it too much and like want to be pulled towards nature. That's what this one is. For the scalar stuff, it's somebody explained it to me in terms of quantum mechanics or quantum just like energy in general and how um like it also kind of removes those subtle energy blocks, but it you have to understand that in the quantum world you are always choosing a path because it's a multi-dimensional plane. So you're always spiraling, and you can spiral one of three ways: upwards, ascending, you can be looping, and you can be descending. And I hadn't heard about the looping thing until like recently. Um, when I talked to one of these guys who like sells one of the bigger machines that's like battery operated and that has like a copper coil with
The
mixed with
one that has two discs?
I think so. He's got
The
a
one that's like 2,000 bucks?
something like that. He has one for 555, one for like he's got a bunch of numbers like 777 and like all this stuff. Um and like a 999, you know, or
Yeah.
369 is one of them, I think. I can't remember, but like he's all about the numbers, because they're all about the frequencies and stuff. I joined another group chat about it, but it's like I just wasn't ready to invest that much money into that yet.
Yeah, I know that. You know the amethyst guy, 3-3 wizard
Yeah,
amethyst
that's
something,
what I'm talking about. Yeah,
right? So he has the travel scalar kit for like 300 or something,
yeah,
which I thought about, and then I also thought about getting the monsoon coil, like the sucker punch.
yeah.
Yeah, which is like a charged crystal. It seems interesting to. I feel like we're like modern day wizards going around, like protecting our fields, just having this gear and this stuff. As of course, we have to have the breath and the food, and everything has to be. That's kind of the core, right?
Hmm.
But at the same time, the core is also the frame, which is the lighting and the magnetism. If your
Yeah,
lighting is off, like that was the first thing I started with this whole thing. Like I
yeah,
took like
right.
I took like applied quantum biology little education on the web, and then I just started living with the sun and blocking blue light in the right times, and that has been huge.
Yeah, yeah. So is that a candle right now that you got on?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm totally in it. I mean, I'll watch Netflix and sometimes in the evenings, but I do it totally to red light
Oh,
on the
okay. So
computers, and
you have
I
like
yeah.
blue blocking glasses and stuff.
Yeah, so I have yellow ones and orange,
Hmm.
but I also want to get red ones because it's if you do the red ones, you really get tired fast, and I want to get them because it's a big difference. Because
Yeah.
especially candlelights too, they actually will suppress your melatonin, but only by 2%. So it's very small,
Yeah.
but I'm very sensitive, so I can feel it.
Yeah, yeah. That's
Yeah.
incredible, dude. Hell yeah. That's so cool. I'm glad you
But
popped.
it's weird, like everything. Yeah, it's like, but it's interesting how like we merge paths now. Everything's like, if you're into this stuff, I can feel it shifting, right? I can feel like the necessity for having the daily practice and really just staying on the path right now,
Hmm.
because I can feel the ascension. It's really like, you know what I mean?
Hmm.
And I didn't used to be this spiritual at all, but like I've been meditating for a long time, but now I just feel like there's definitely an ascension going on.
Yeah. Yeah,
And some
yeah.
people feel it and some people don't. Some people are just outside of it. I was in a cafe, like a vegan cafe right now, a couple of hours ago, and I was doing my breath holds straight up in that bitch in the middle of
Yeah.
that room, just doing my, what do you call that mudra thing? You call it the way you think you
Yeah,
posted when you,
Kali Mudra. Yeah.
yeah, I was using that thing. I was doing my my CO2 tables, you know, with the cadence in between 9 times. I don't care. Like I'm just sitting there,
Yeah.
and everybody's like, I hear the conversation, and it's just so dull. It's just so
Yeah.
fucking asleep. Like it's crazy.
Yeah, it's wild that I went out last night for the first time in like 3 months, and it's funny because like I'll have these okay conversations about like almost nothing, and then like people will find me and they'll just be like, "Yeah, we're gonna have this conversation right now," and I'm like, "Yeah, we are." Like damn straight, we're gonna like go into what's happening like on different planes of existence, on different energy levels, what we're doing to like kind of deal with it, how we're adapting, and like how we're ascending, if we're looping, if we're like whatever it is. And it's
Mm.
cool because everybody's like this little antenna now, and they can feel it, and people can feel it on like not even seeing you, they can feel it. It's wild. I did last week or maybe 2 weeks ago. I was hanging out at my other job, which is like I work at a hemp shop, and I was doing my max breath holds, and I hit 4 over 2 minutes, and it was like I was on one that day. I don't know what was going on. My bolt score was like crazy high. It's like it wavers. It comes sometimes it even comes down to like 30. But like that day, something about it was crazy high, and I like was vibrating so high, and this woman came in, and she was like, it was like divinity. It was just like pure frequency and energy. And she came in the shop and we talked for like 2 hours in between all these customers talking about like 5D stuff. Like it was just wild. And it's like it's just crazy. It's cool that we're all like finding each other through these frequencies. It's very, very interesting.
Yeah, and it's also different, interesting because different, let's call it like spiritual people, we are different, right? So some people are really into angel cards,
Mm-hmm.
and they do some breathing. It's some yoga class, but they don't really know shit about it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Some are really into breathing, but they're not into the food. Some
Yeah.
are really into light, but they're not into that, which is cool. I just love everything, you know?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. This woman was very into finance and what's
Yeah.
happening in the finance world, and like even what's happening with, like some of the negative things in terms of um like global elitists and like especially like satanic shit. She was telling me all this crazy stuff that's going on that's gonna get shut
Wow.
down soon. And like yeah, it's just like she she's like, you got to be aware of it, you got to know it's both sides, but we are she sent me some videos that were really cool about the white hats and how we're all white hats and we're all actually winning.
Wow.
There's so many of us, but we don't work the same way, that
Yeah.
you know, like in collaboration or in cahoots almost.
And it's like interesting because here in Norway, like people are really like what do you say, like dumbed down, like really just in their own space, like on the subway,
Hmm.
really like cocooned in and not really speaking to each other, right? And if you speak to another, it's kind of weird, right? Just hello, if you're, it's like weird because people are not really just saying hi to strangers, right?
Hmm.
But it just kind of took me like how, not that I don't want to say they, right, the bad forces or whatever, but
Yeah.
like it's they we keep each other from each other in a way,
Mm.
whereas the potential would be like everybody just loving each other, helping each other. And but now I feel like it's the exception. It's like if a old lady falls, you help her, and it creates a beautiful moment in space and time, just
Mm.
beautiful, and then we go back to separation, you know what I mean?
Mm.
Whereas the potential is clearly just everybody just loving each other. And if there's one lady on that bus which is low frequency, everybody else will get her up there. That's
Yeah.
the potential. Everybody could just be like fully, it's insane. Like when
Yeah.
I just started to realize this is not really spiritual information. It's just information. We are conscious creators. We can make anything happen. And
Yeah. Love.
I just didn't realize we were powerful. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
just this is common knowledge.
Yeah. That's
And it
that's the
yes.
quantum. That's the you're touching on like what at least has been described to me as quantum energy, like the potential. It's kinetic energy. It's like knowing there's a potential for it and choosing that path. and like just like kind of walking it, and like even thinking about it, even having the thought that everybody there is the potential for that is like you're wearing it, you're feeling it right now. That's exactly what it is. That's
Yeah, exactly. It's like
you
yeah,
know.
what timeline are you connected to? What reality are you connected to?
Yeah,
And that's real.
that is real. That's so
And
cool.
what are you like? I'm interested. Like, what are you like? Um, Not to drop the frequency. Let's stay on it. But like,
No,
I'm
yeah.
interested. Like, I'm not interested. What are you like? Are you what are you some of your fears right now? Like, what are some of the things that you're dealing with on like a personal note or something that you're trying to break through? Or because I guess there's still problems at 1 minute bolt. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
So I was really disciplined when I was on with Brian. I with my breathwork practice, I've slipped a little bit, and I'm giving myself excuses for a lot of that and getting out of my circadian rhythm. But at the same time, I'm going through this detox process with these herbs, and I'm giving myself space to sort of do that. So like I guess what I'm struggling with is getting back on like there's a hesitancy with the path that I'm on. I don't know what it is, and maybe it's something that I need to like figure out on the micro level if I need to like change some daily habits or something, or remove space in certain ways. But um just struggling with that kind of right now. I know that it'll clear up, and I know this is like the slowest part of the year for me, especially because so like what I'm detoxing from is 20 years of being on thyroid medication. So I'm using this detox process to kind of heal my thyroid, as well as herbal medicine, fruit, and combo and breath work is my goal for the next year, to just heal and then launch my business and do all this stuff. Um, and my fear is like that, I don't know, I'll slip and not get the energy for it, or that like I won't be able to fully step into what I want to imagine myself doing, and being. Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't know. In terms of, yeah, you said fear on a personal level, right?
yeah. Fear in general.
Fear in
Fear
general.
in the quantum. That would be quantum fear.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I don't necessarily like there's something behind me that's pushing me to do all this stuff, and it's like it just takes over even when I talk about my own fears. It's like it says, "Hey, you can do that. And you will do that. All that will come in time." Um, you know, it's interesting.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, the divine forces are pulling us somewhere, and it's I just feel still. I love the way you were saying in class. Someday you were like, "I've just been taking time healing and not really working too much." You know, you were like that. You right? You were just saying, "Yeah, I'm just taking time for myself," and I've been doing that too. But I've been working at the same time.
Yeah,
But luckily, my job is very chill. I don't really have to. I
yeah,
work by myself, and I can work when I want. I'm in a very privileged position.
yeah,
Uh, but
yeah, yeah. I'm sort of doing
but
the
it's
same thing. Like work. I am working, and I have been working, but like at the same time, taking that time to heal.
yeah, resting, right?
Yeah, yeah. But
And
go ahead. Please continue. Yeah.
yeah, because it's like because I feel like right now I'm receiving opportunities, and I feel like I need to be in shape mentally and physical to be in these spaces and really do not even the work, I don't like that, but like do the yeah, just being in situations, right, that kind of takes energy, even though it's good stuff, it's can take energy, right, because it's yeah. So that's why I really want to get the bolt up too, and just really get on the stay on the breath training, because yeah, it's just so liberating. If I have a long day and I'm consistent with the breath during the day, I don't get so tired, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
it's just so key, like it's just so key, like if you want to perform at the highest level, the breathing is so key. It's key anyway, but like, you know what I mean?
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. It's
Like,
interesting, like the breath work has really allowed me to feel that energy and feel when it's low and feel like when I need to rest and which types of breath to use during different aspects of
yeah.
those energy levels. Like if I'm detoxing hard and I'm like struggling, I need to do different types of breath work. Maybe I shouldn't really push for a max breath hold. Or like then you look at it and you're like, maybe I should do five. Maybe like,
Yeah, and
maybe
exactly.
I
I
should
feel
do.
like, because it's like, let's say Brian says like 3 to 5 max holds, right? And a part of me will think, oh, let's do 5, and I'm pushing for 5, and then I'm sensing, hold on, why am I pushing for 5? Like,
Yeah.
I can do 4, and the part of my brain says, no, 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 do 5. And I feel like if something inside of me tells me you should do this, you have to do this, it's a trauma response. It's
Mm,
not God, it's a trauma response. So I love the way yeah, I feel like that's what you're touching onto, like
yeah,
just
exactly.
leaning into what you actually need, because what's the part of us that are pushing against that? Well, it's the part of us that are having a in a rush. It's the part of us that's, because you can do amazing breath training and be in a rush at the same time. You can do breath holds in 5 minutes, I guess I'm not there yet, but I would imagine, and still be under stress, which I
Yeah.
think it's so amazing. Like, you can even do all these slow practices and be in stress. And I know a lot about that because I'm still a lot in the freeze response.
Mm,
And it's very interesting because Brian doesn't speak a lot about this because he's not a trauma expert. You know what I mean?
yeah.
And he speaks a lot about trauma from the OA perspective, whereas I'm also in a lot of rooms that are strictly trauma based, and it's a whole different thing.
Hmm.
Because what I wanted to post something about in the group too is like doing the cadence versus being the cadence.
Mm,
And I wanted to hear your perspective on it too, because I feel like
hmm.
I can breathe the cadence for like, usually if I breathe it for 20 minutes, like focused, then I'm starting to be it. But until then, me personally, I'm like kind of stuck in the freeze response. I'm trying to be a good boy. I'm trying to perfect
Mm,
it. I'm like, literally, I'm breaking up the exhales. Like, and I'm a lot of my days just trying to like release myself out of this. I'm afraid of my dad. He's going to scream at me type of
yeah,
freeze
yeah.
while I'm doing the 4-6. And it's just like, and I'm like, it's crazy. I just wanted to share that with somebody.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So
Yeah.
the cadence, so what I've been thinking about lately in terms of the cadence and CO2 like breath holds in general, whether it's many small breath holds, whether it's air hunger, whether it's anything. So and I touched on this a little bit last week when I was talking about the Merkaba system and the light body. And I don't know if you've seen me share some information about that, but that's the like sacred geometry. That's the two triangles that are tetrahedrons that are flipped upside down, and one's forward and one's upside down, and they intersect at the kidneys and the heart, right? And those are like the two kind of major ones that we look at when we're talking blood pH chemistry, when we're talking about balancing and getting back into harmony, that inner triangle, that parasympathetic. And so when we're doing any of these exercises, it's really important that we look at it not just as an exercise, but we embody an emotion that's attached to those exercises, or we recognize that there is an emotion. So the discipline has to be there, and Brian is right about that. But I think, like, from a coaching perspective, like it is like your dad, like you gotta do it. You're gonna like you gotta do your chores or whatever. And you're like, I don't want to fucking do my chores. But like if you look at it and feel it from the love perspective, the Kali Mudra, showing yourself love through the breath hold, through the response of the breath hold, through the heat of the breath hold, through the contraction, all those negative things that may feel like pain, embrace those as love, and it'll transform the breath hold in and of itself. And that's how I've been sort of viewing that lately. And then the cadence I've been using specifically to get out of acidosis. So acidosis is those breath holds. So I'm using it as a slightly alkaline breath to power up. So it's you push yourself onto that acidic side because most of us are in alkalinity. Most of us, not all of us, but most of us are in alkalinity. You can be acidosis or alkalosis in terms of like dis-ease, but I think most people, I could be wrong about this. But most people are like too alkaline, um, and they need to shift it onto one side. So either way, like it brings you back towards homeostasis. But like I imagine that, my key or my energy centers, my are my kidneys, obviously. So like they're the gates for energy. And I think about the breath and I power through that breath and I power through my hands. I power through my kidneys. I power up. So I envision the breath as something that's giving me life and giving me energy, as opposed to even the cadence of it and the timing of it. I don't use my stopwatch as much. I used it for the first 6 months or so, and even like when I do some of the bigger exercises like the sprint and stuff, I'll still kind of use it. Or like I like the breath holds, the max breath holds. I want to see how long I'm actually going, and so I can like go longer the next one. Um, but that's like kind of how I've been thinking about it lately. Does that sort of like answer that? I know I like went off on like a little bit of a tangent there, and I meant
Yeah,
to.
this is tangent vibes. No, yeah, sure, and it's nice. Like, yeah,
It,
I just know because
yeah.
let's say like after a fascial massage, right? I go to this beautiful lady. She calls it a metafascial massage, metafascial release.
Okay.
Um, and then I notice after a treatments, let's say I will naturally land in cadence.
Mm,
But that cadence will feel very natural because she's loosened up my fascia.
yeah.
Whereas if I can try to breathe cadence for 30 minutes and still not land in the naturalness of the rhythm,
Mm,
because you don't know what I mean? Like if you count
yeah.
4 in and 6 out, if you're stuck in a freeze response, or if you're breaking up the exhales, if you're holding too much at the top, it's not
Mhm.
really a natural 4-6.
Yeah.
It's just like
Well,
exercise, which is what you kind of pointed to, right?
yeah. So I put something in my story like maybe it was like a couple of weeks ago or about a week ago about Earth's resonant frequency and Nikola Tesla talking about that, how it's 6 to 8 hertz. And then like the breath needs to be 6 to 8 per minute, and how we range in that scale. Like it's not the same for every person. Everyone resonates at a different frequency themselves. So it's really not
Yeah.
4 in, 6 out. It's honestly about how you're breathing fully and how you're exhaling longer, and like tapping into that full breath and what that full breath feels like from a biomechanical standpoint as well as a spiritual standpoint. So
Yeah.
we're breathing into, we have to breathe into a an aligned structure. And that I think is also something that Brian might be needs to touch up on or needs to like add into, because he's only talked about it a couple times. But basically when you breathe in, you're breathing into that pelvic floor, and you're breathing low and deep, and you want to fill the pelvic floor until it hits the waistband, until it hits the ribs on the outer side, until it even fills up the chest. And you want to keep your shoulders down. You want to let it build up through the chest. So like I'll even kind of I'll do a demonstration in a second just to kind of show you guys like what I mean, because I think it's important to actually visualize and see it. But so you breathe down there and then you expand upwards, and then you exhale through all of it and through really relaxation. But you never want to like distend your belly. You never want to like let your belly drop, because then you're dropping posture. And it's important to keep an aligned like spine and a decompressed spine when you do this. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So like I'm gonna take my shirt off, just kind of like show you what a when we breathe, we're breathing in the lower pelvic region. We're like, so we don't want to distend the belly. We don't want this to like come out because that's too relaxed. We want it to kind of be here. We want our pelvis and our rib cage to be stacked, so that we're just standing in lordosis. We don't want to stand like this. We don't want to stand too much like this because this is a rib flare. So we want the ribs to kind of be down and in and match the pelvis. So see how straight my kind of spine is. Wait, hold on. I'm actually not straight. There we go. So we're extending the spine down even a little bit of an anterior pelvic tilt. And that's how we kind of want to sit. We want to sit on top of that structure. And then we're breathing low and deep. And as we breathe, we go. I don't know if you guys can see the chest. And then we exhale.
Yeah.
We breathe low and deep into the pelvic floor, into the perineum, into the balls.
So you usually start breathing lower than your stomach. You're breathing down into the pelvic.
Yeah. So it's, and then from the front, like you want to be able to breathe that horizontal breath. So you want to like, it's going to look like it's barely moving, but it's like,
Yeah, I know what you mean.
yeah. So like that's the
But what's
power up breath. We're powering up through our whole spine. We're powering up from the baseline, the lowest chakra to the even to the brain, to the perineum, or the what's it called? The pineal gland. We're breathing up and around our head to here. We want
what's really interesting to me is like I feel like I'm finding a lot of like quality and in like breathing into like working on the lightness, CO2 tolerance, working on the slowness and working on the deepness separately also.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like what I mean is like working on the biomechanics of the breath and then not thinking about the cadence and the volume of it at that point because it might get too complicated for me. You know what I mean? Especially because in my system, again, I still have a lot of freeze response going on,
Yeah.
which he doesn't tap on that too much. You know what I mean? That's why I'm interested in it because, and also, so let's say in the perfect breath world, in the perfect breath, you wouldn't breathe in a full volume, right?
Mm.
But for a person who has been stuck, let's say in no hailing, which Brian could call it, or breathing very low volumes because he or she has been stuck in a freeze response because he or she has been afraid to breathe. For them, it might be good to learn to take deep, bigger breaths.
Mm.
Do you know what I mean? Then to that person, if he or she comes to me, I would not be talking about CO2 tolerance just yet. Because it is not a O2 CO2 thing. It is your nervous system is stuck in the freeze response.
Yeah.
I just think it's so interesting because he's like, yeah, the bolts go up, like work on the 4-6, the lateral rib expansion, and the traumas will surface. And I really get that. But I still also think there's something in just laying down and really let yourself expand, even with bigger volumes, to work on the biomechanics.
So
You know what I mean?
yeah, so in the group that I was telling you about, and like I actually do want to show you some of this stuff whenever we decide to work one-on-one. There's like in terms of the biomechanical standpoint, we're working on things from a neurodevelopmental sequence. So like we're looking at how babies move and build strength and the positions that they have, and then we're building that full breath through those movements and through these back chain posterior movements where we're in the back chain and we're fully breathing through this. So we're creating heat with the outer. So let me back up. There's 3 layers of fascia, or 3 types of fascia that kind of like intersect and get layered throughout our whole body. There's the outer layer fascia, which is like in between our skin and musculoskeletal systems. And then there's the one that goes around all of our organs. And then there's the third one that's really small that goes around all of our like our glands and our lymph nodes and like the smaller aspects of our system. They intertwine our blood vessels and all of our nerves. And so there's ways to expand, heat, and contract all three of those. And so if we're working on the outer layers of the like the two outer layers, we sort of, it's important, the biomechanics are so important for that. So like you're breathing into a structure that is decompressed, you're breathing into a spine that is long, because even when you're trying to do a full breath, if you're not fully aligned, or if you don't have the strength to hold the posture in some of those areas, you have blockages in fascia, you have these like constrictions that you haven't been able to breathe through, that are the tension that you've created. It is the fascia in the shoulder, in the chest, in the back, whatever it is, but like creating that heat through the exercise and then fully breathing into that space can create more space in the full breath in and of itself. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I feel that. I feel that.
I think there's like, so there are ways to heat the body through movement and then breathe cooling alkaline breaths. So cadence breathing through those movements. So we're heating and cooling and molding the fascia to the right biomechanical structure. So like that's what we're playing around with right now. And it's pretty freaking awesome. Like I've done a lot of really like I've taken these concepts and worked on myself a lot lately. On my shoulder, my left shoulder has like a lot of issues. My left hip, it's all on my like left side, but at the same time there's so much tension on my right side that's caused the left to be weak. So I'm at the same time that I'm strengthening the left side, I'm loosening the right side, and I'm massaging the right side more. So I'm like sort of trying to balance out my entire structure based on my own personal goals and stuff in terms of fascia. But like not everyone's sort of different, but actually a lot of people are the same too, because of our society. We're right hip dominant, we're right arm dominant, everything's on the right side. Or like most people, it's actually kind of a crazy fact. There's this thing that happens when you're born. There's this thing called the twisting method that doctors do in hospitals where they'll twist you out of the womb. And some of them aren't careful enough and they'll actually tilt your axis. So like that's why water births, you'll tend to see more asymmetrical qualities in their lives. Asymmetrical, like they're like ambidextrous, or they just have like more alignment that's even on both sides of their face, on their body. Like, so they tilt the axis when they spin them out of the womb, and they actually like end up molding some of that really, really soft tissue that like that's the second you're born, you're getting twisted a little bit, like even a fraction. And that like compounds over time and we end up being shifted. So it's like it's wild to think about. And then we spend our whole lives trying to fix it. It's all
Yeah,
about
exactly.
the neurodevelopmental sequence. Yeah, go ahead. You're gonna ask something. Hey, what's up, Harrison?
What's going on, man?
How you doing?
Doing good. I was just gonna touch real quick. I've heard about this stuff. You're talking about the births and stuff.
Yeah,
I've heard about like how the unnatural births and stuff like that. There have been like signs of people having the same consistencies, like or inconsistencies, like issues in their life from like unnatural births and stuff compared to natural births. So I've seen stuff about that. It's pretty interesting stuff to read about.
yeah. Even from like it's crazy the like what hospitals will do in terms of bringing a baby into this world, and like that neurodevelopmental sequence is so crucial. I think there's still that a lot of things that people don't realize. There's actually a study that connects asymptomatic or not asymptomatic, but asymmetry to cancer, because like they'll, if you twist somebody's neck at the first moment they entered this world and it tilts their axis, then everything is misaligned, everything, including their bite, including their organs, and then they develop like these dysfunctions through breath, through movement, through even like how they think, and it eventually leads to things like cancer. So there's like, like they talk about uneven breasts and how like usually one of them tends to end up getting cancer. Like has been huge over the past 100 years since we like sort of started to intervene in the birthing process. It's just kind of wild to think about, which is why my kid's gonna have a home birth. you know but yeah, cool to see you, Harrison. I don't think I've actually seen you on video.
Yeah,
Nice to have you in here.
usually when I'm in the calls with Brian and stuff, I'm at work. Well, I am working right now, but I have some free time while I'm driving, so
Nice. Yeah, right on.
I can.
How are things going with you? How long have you been with Brian breathing?
So I started at the end of November, but I went on a 3-week vacation to Mexico, and I really wasn't doing my breath work during that 3 weeks. It was more like a month that I
Yeah,
didn't do anything. I just knew of it, and I was like doing some of the stuff, but I wasn't mouth taping, and I was still not doing
yeah.
stuff. So it's been like a month and a half of consistent stuff, I would say, and it's been a pretty good. I've seen pretty good notices in my bolt and breath hold. My bolt started in like 15 seconds, and now it's in the 20s.
Nice.
And my max breath holds, like when I'm doing like the fifth breath holds, like crossing 3 minutes now, which I don't know if that's like high, but it was high for me because I was starting like at 2 minutes, so it was pretty good for me.
Thanks. He's out. He was great to be on here. Axel, I don't know if you've met him before. Dude, did you say 3 minutes?
Mm-hmm.
Hell yeah, dude. That's excellent.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So you're breathing on an exhale and then you're holding your breath for 3 minutes.
I'm the fifth breath. I'm the fifth breath. I'm the max breath.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it takes a while to like build up there.
Like it starts at like a minute, somewhere like in a minute, and then it goes to like 2 minutes, and then I just had like a huge jump. The last time I did them, it went up like 40 seconds from the fourth to fifth one. And I was just like, that was crazy. I didn't know. I was like, this is unreal to me how that happened.
That's dude, yeah, that's how it gets with me sometimes too. Like I I get lost in my mind and I find space in between. Are you getting diaphragm contractions?
Like when you're holding my breath, like you feel a twitch.
Yeah,
I,
like yeah. So like tell me about your experience with those because I'm kind of curious. Because you're hitting 3 minutes after 1 month.
yeah, I'm
No.
not sure if I was gonna ask about those twitches to like in the group or to someone specific that knew more about it. I didn't know what the twitches were, like where my diaphragm twitches, and it's very noticeable. Um,
So your body kind of shakes, right? You like go like that. You're like, oh
not
shit.
twitch, or like you can feel like a little in your throat a little bit.
Oh, okay. So
I was gonna ask about that to in the group, or if anybody knows in anybody's opinion, I'd love to hear it.
yeah, this is actually so Brian's asked me to teach one of the classes in February, and I was actually going to talk about this.
Okay.
Because I think it's super important when you're doing the breath holds to um almost not let the contractions go wild. Like
Okay.
they can kind of if they're uncontrollable and you're letting them be uncontrollable, then it sort of it can tap into negative dysfunctional patterns, or it can like it can cause maybe a disruption in your nervous system. So like what I was experiencing was in the first like 3 months, I was letting myself contract like crazy. And I was getting like these really deep burns, almost to the point where I couldn't do breath holds the next day because it was so sore. Um, I think a slower build is ultimately better over time. I think letting the diaphragm fall down as slow as you can, like if you can feel sort of heat in the diaphragm as it's like, so when you breathe out, it comes up and you can kind of feel it like right below your like where your ribs kind of end at the top and the front. And you can feel it up there, and you want it to sort of slowly kind of come down, and it's going to massage all your organs. And especially if you kind of hold your pelvic floor at the same time, that combination of tension is really good for stimulating your vagal tone and accessing more of the parasympathetic. But it's really that heat that you want. You want to like be using these breath holds to create heat internally. And that, because that heat is like part of the healing of the breath hold. And what
I definitely hot. I take all clothes. I take my shirt off. I'll have a hood on when I start, and then I have my shirt off and just down to shorts when I'm done. But loose chip you right here. I'll try to hop back in and whenever I'm back and have better shirt.
For sure. Thanks for joining,
Right.
Harrison.
Sounds good, man.
Yeah.
Of course, man.
Oi, mate.
Oi, mate.
Oi, mate.
How we doing?
Good. I just got like I started this at like 150, and my buddy Axel, who lives out in, I think he's in like Norway or something, hopped on. We were talking about scalar energy and like all this cool stuff. He's very tapped into I think he's taking another breathwork course, like conscious something breathing, where it's like very trauma based. It's very cool stuff.
Nice.
And we were like getting into some cool conversations. And Harrison, he's also part of Brian's group, and he's already hitting max breath holds of over 3 minutes.
Oh
Like,
my God, that's a lot?
yeah, dude, that's my max, and it takes me a while to get there. And he said he was hitting it on his last breath hold of his 5 breath holds. But yeah, 3 minutes is a lot. That's intense. Just goes to show you, if you're young. I think he's a young kid.
Less trauma.
Yeah.
Yep. Nice. Sorry, I'm just having a little issues here setting up on this connection. So in like 1 minute, I should have this figured out. I just don't want this to die. Number one, I'm trying this out in my shed for the first time because
Nice.
it's just better out here.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna have one more charger.
This is super loose in terms of conversation and recording, so we can just chat. We can always start it up later and stuff too.
Sweet. All right, I'll be right back.
Okay. First meal of the day, 2:30. Fucking bowl of melon. Let's go, guys. Granted, I got up at like 11:30 because I went out last night, but still. So, what do I want to talk about today? With my boy here, Jim. We're going to talk about the breath. We're going to talk about soil eventually. And probably the Thunderdome. And where the idea is and where it's shifting into. Yeah, I'm excited. There are people who are doing some cool things in this world right now in terms of business. on how they're setting up sort of nonlinear structures of business, pyramid type structures, where it's not feeding the guy at the top. Instead, it's creating a big spiral that can peel off and have other spirals and have their own spirals and do their own thing, because there's going to be enough resources for everybody. Because the earth is not overpopulated. Whoever told you that was lying. The good earth is rich and beautiful and abundant.
Right. I need to turn that off.
Huh? Oh.
Sorry.
You
I didn't
talking
realize my mic was on. I bailed on the shed.
Yeah, no worries.
Yeah, I was having power issues. Woo, coming along back here. Future Thunderdome.
Hey, let's go. I'm
We
so
just-
excited, dude.
We just spent the past 2 hours digging up fence posts.
Yeah.
That was fun.
Dude, when I come down to visit, we're gonna like put me to work. Let's do some cool shit.
There's so much work to be done here in this. We have it all planned out, all mapped out. It's going to be pretty sweet, but none of it's that hard or difficult.
Yeah. Just out and about doing stuff.
Yes, sir. I'm going to switch to my iPad.
So I was just talking to myself. I don't know if you heard any of that. No.
I heard it in the background, but I was just trying to get set up. So
Yeah.
I want to refresh.
Yeah. I'm just talking to myself about the Thunderdome and where I'm like thinking about it. And just the concepts behind it as well. Hold on, we got another guy coming in.
Who do we got?
It might be Harrison again.
Nice.
Hey, there he is. Welcome back, man.
How's it going?
This is my buddy Jim. I've known him for, dude, it's been a while, hasn't it?
Yeah. We lose track of these years.
It's like
Probably.
5 years, maybe 6.
5 now.
Yeah.
Wait, it's been a good 5 years.
Yeah, for sure. We're gonna talk about a project that we've been working on for a while now, and just like sort of the concept behind it and how it'll like evolve. And the concept is called the Thunderdome, and it's basically it's kind of wild how where this concept is evolving and how we're using, at least the way I'm thinking about it, in how it's gonna like transcend and go into 5D technology and 5D culture and business and all of these things. People already have the concept in other aspects.
This is the platform that ties it all together.
Yeah.
And as humans elevate and rise and raise their vibration here in this time and era, it will provide a home for it,
Mm-hmm.
a platform, a nucleus, or a way for all of these alternative healing methods and these, from everything from breathing to soil and healthy foods, restoring our
business,
natural innate being.
Yeah.
It will be the home for it. I call it the conscious planet fitness. It's like the future.
So there's what Axel, you just missed him. You like literally just missed him by like 10 minutes. He came in here and we were talking about scalar energy. And I don't know if you're familiar with some of that stuff, but that's like quantum energy. And like you see those guys with the triangles on their heads.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it the Black Airbender on Instagram?
Yeah.
He's awesome. I always loved reading his content.
So the idea behind it, right, is that once you tap into quantum energy, you can sort of feel your vibrations and whether they're doing one of three things. The first, ascending. The second, looping. And the third, descending. So you're much more aware because you're
Spectrum.
getting taken into certain frequencies and vibrations as opposed to being shut off from them. So these devices sort of like allow you to see things, clear subtle energy blockages, clear things like EMF waves, radiation frequencies that are like sort of
So it's
shutting.
a measurement. Is there a measurement? Like when you say see them, because I've always seen the device on his head, and I've always, you know, it's appeared to me that they've had some pretty good results in everything they're doing. There's something to show for it, you know, and I've always wondered exactly how it works.
See them here in terms of intention, in terms of like the decisions you're making on subconscious and conscious levels. Because a lot of us are unconscious, and because of things under our that aren't part of our control, we didn't realize it. You know, we've been shut off, immune by it, not immune by it, but like frozen because of it. A lot of people are stuck in sympathetic nervous system states, frozen. A lot of people are stuck
which is the intent of whatever entity is trying to manipulate society, which is unfortunate, but not to get down on that,
yeah,
but to say that our current and future circumstances are a reflection of our consciousness and character. And our vibration is what dictates that. Low vibration, low vibrational consciousness, low awareness, not understanding what matters, going through the motions, supporting habits that aren't, good for us.
so
And then character that comes with that. If that's where you're at vibrationally, you're not going to care. And so it's like chicken or the egg. To get people to care, you have to raise their vibration.
yeah.
In order to raise their vibration, you have to increase their health. Hence, Thunderdome provide a platform where they have a home and a way to enlighten and gain awareness through meditation, through fitness, through exercise, but then also through food, because you can do all this meditation, you can do all this self-work, but if you're eating crap and contaminated foods, it's going to screw up your microbiome. It's going to lower your vibration. So this is that wholesome approach to health.
So the scalar stuff is just like, it just sort of like, in terms of the radiation frequency vibrations that are like attacking us that we can't see, it sort of like helps a lot of people realign themselves with that and realize that there is a spiral that goes upwards. So back to like this sort of spiral in and of itself and ascending, that's like, once people are on that plane, they're going to need resources and businesses and technology and community and the things that are going to allow us to live in that space, in that upward spiral projection. And one of our things that we're working on, that Jim and I are working on, is the Thunderdome. And he's mentioned all these things that are going to allow us to like live in that space. They're going to be beautiful for us.
A foundation to be able to live in that space, because right now that foundation is missing. Where to go for that is there is places to go and there is things to seek out, but it's very divided and widespread. You get a little piece here, you get a little piece over there, this, that, and the other thing. It needs to be tied together so that we can put the foundation behind us so that we can create businesses and entities and support people doing these fantastic things and all branching off
creative
of
community. Exactly. Yeah. Just be completely creative as a society, as a race, is to embrace that creativity and that life. And it's there. I mean, we just have to build the foundation for it, because we are on, and I mentioned this in my last video, we're on the cusp of the age of Aquarius. We are the ones that are supposed to build the foundation.
Yep. And all the things that are happening in our external circumstances are going, I guess, according to that prediction or that plan. These challenges are happening. They're right in front of us. And it's how we respond that's going to dictate our future, which is why, it is cool. Humans can kind of manifest reality, but it comes down to that level of consciousness and that level of character. You can know what you have to do. A lot of people know this. A lot of people know what's going on in the world. A lot of people know that they shouldn't put fertilizer on their lawn. They still do it. A lot of people, know that they shouldn't be just resorting to medicines or ibuprofen or whatever it is to take away their pain, and they should be doing the work to do it. So the awakening and the awareness is growing, and then we have to match that with the character, with the discipline, with the internal ability to do this.
Yeah. So the Thunderdome, what is it? What's the fuck's the Thunderdome? It's
So
what
the Thunderdome, yeah. Well, the original mission statement is
Yeah.
an all-purpose positive energy production facility designed to elevate consciousness and raise vibration by enhancing connection with ourselves, each other, and the earth. And that is very broad. It's about as broad as it can get, but it's a very broad concept. As we talk about, it's encompassing so many things.
And
So
it's meant to be a spiral idea. It's meant to be something that is not in a box. And this is important because it's actually not a box. It's a physical structure that's a dome. And the important thing about this is when you live and work and be inside a dome, it frees up your thoughts. And it doesn't let your thoughts be compartmentalized. It changes the structure of your thought patterns on a subconscious level so you can grow in a spiral. You don't get caught in looping. You don't get caught in descending.
And you don't get caught in ignorance, which is a one that, might seem a little bit out there, but humans tend to think that we know more than we do, and that we like to compartmentalize and organize things to a point where it's self-destructive. Life and nature is not that structured. It's not, we don't know that much. And so having this non-linear path and being able to adjust to circumstances is key. And a lot of people lose that because they like their regiment, they like their structure, they like the safety of knowing things are like this, but they're not.
Mm-hmm. So it's the more digestible way, like definition of a Thunderdome is that it's a giant dome structure that is a health community center that teaches anything you want it to teach in terms of helping
exercise, education, and events. To sum it up, exercise classes, meditation, all that, education on health, food, fitness, farming, and events. And
these are also more boxes. Like, we have no idea what this could take on, and we want it to be more than us. We want there to be people that take this concept and build their own in different capacities and utilize this idea to tap back into nature, to tap back into those frequencies, to tap back into that creativity. We want these to be scalable. We want these to be
different sizes, different
small
shapes.
backyards, small backyards to stadium-sized domes, where these domes are places for people to come together and harness energy. And
different purposes, different focuses, different character behind it. If somebody has good resources and they want to develop a dome that kind of projects their style or their somewhat beliefs, their practices, whether it be different types of fitness, this and that, all based around the same concepts of enhancing in connection with ourselves, each other, the earth, all based around this community building health center that provides the platform for alternative health and gains resources in that process to heal the surrounding nature.
And that last part is the most essential part, because the more we actually prioritize healing nature and working in tandem with nature, as opposed to using a corporate profit system that deprioritizes nature, we will shift into a new humanity. We will shift into a new stage of consciousness. Where we become intertwined with it. We become so advanced with it. We use soil, we use microbiology, we use all these little things that we're learning about and diving into to enhance ourselves as human beings.
And our human, as last part, is human beings, and that's what we are, and that's what we're getting away from in this, um, in this society, the way we're living right now, getting away from nature, getting away from the primal stuff, fact that we are animals, and that our health, and the science is proving our health is dependent on us being animals, sunlight, connection with the earth, minerals, all the things that nature provides us is what we need to optimize our health. And as we create these solutions in Western medicine to fix all that, we're getting ourselves further from actually being healthy and preventing these issues by masking it with quick fixes. And that is the ignorance of man. We can do this. We can fix this. We can fix this. Instead of honoring what's here, we're trying to change it to be convenient for us. And it doesn't work. And so in that process, we're continuing to destroy nature. And that's reflecting in our health. So if we want to optimize our health and we want to start to reverse this health crisis, we need to do it by reconnecting with nature and stop poisoning nature. One of the things I was hoping to talk about right now is I'm in Florida. I'm in St. Pete, and there's this thing called red tide, and
Yeah,
everybody's
I
kind
heard
of
about
getting
it.
sick, and the eyes are puffy. It's kind of like allergies. People are coughing up phlegm, and it's all because of fertilizer plant right over the bridge down near Sarasota. A chemical fertilizer plant, I believe it's Monsanto, dumps chemicals into the water every year, and the effects of the surrounding, it's destroy. Fish are dying, birds are dying from eating the fish. People were going through and just listing all the crazy effects. You can look this up. And it was so detrimental to the health of the environment and then the health of the people. Is such a perfect example of the way that we're living right now. And how can we reverse that and create alternative methods? Right now, no one's doing that. There's people that are trying to be healthier and trying to, offering organic foods here, doing this, doing that, but no one's trying to reverse the detrimental effects of nature. We can try to change the world as much as we want, but we need to stop destroying it first and foremost. That's what needs to happen.
Yeah.
And that's what Thunderdome is about. We're creating the alternative to the supplement to what we're doing right.
Yeah. He might be cutting out here. But he's making some really good points.
He
Yeah.
definitely is. I've you can see the effects of that stuff all the time, and it's become more of what's the right way to word it? Like he's saying, man being trying to fix everything, like it's just making it worse and worse and worse and worse, getting further and further away from the correct answer, the true
The connection.
proper thing. So
Yeah, we lost you for a bit, but you finished on a really good sentence, so we're continuing that conversation. We might lose you again. It looks like you're tapping out a little, but I'm going to touch on what he's speaking about because we've been working with another company, and Jim is very tied into soil microbiology. He's very connected and deep in the communities surrounding soil microbiology. He's very.
I lost that.
Yeah, we lost you a couple times. I'm just talking. I'm transitioning into a little bit about soil and what we're familiar with in terms of soil. So
The
like
woods.
we've been working with this guy named Leighton Morrison, which is one of Jim's oldest friends. He's one of the top soil microbiologists in the country. He's worked with Elaine Ingham, who's created this food soil web system.
Soil food web. She was the queen of organics.
And he has been working with a company in the Cape of Massachusetts called Fish Brew. And they've developed a product using concentrated fish fertilizer to regenerate the natural soil microbiology.
But it's the secret sauce, essentially.
Soil,
and so
yeah.
latent aquaponics has always been huge. And when you look at the evolution of life from single-celled organisms all the way up, you look at it way back.
Wait, Jim, just real quick, just mention what aquaponics is.
Aquaponics is the growth of plants through aquasystems and fish and the ocean and water, right? And so when you look at the evolution of
it's like collecting fish fertilizer, right? Using like systems that that breed and create healthy fish basically, and then they use these like kind of streams to collect this fish fertilizer, and then they use all these barrels to like sort of concentrate it, and
Yeah.
it's got amazing healing properties because it's got all these, it's built in nature, so it's got already got that connection to it, but it's got all these essential minerals and vitamins and things that you can't really get or like from just basic dry land, and it like I said,
If you look at it under the microscope, it's supercharged.
yeah.
If you look at it under the microscope, it's supercharged with biology and nutrients, and it has a lot of second, third level predators, amoeba, nematodes, diatoms, bigger nutrient cyclers that consume more and poop more in soil. That's what really gets it to boom, you know. And so you look at evolution, you look at from the single-celled organism all the way to what we are now, and everything, all life comes from some type of aquatic culture, right? We were very tied to aquatics in our past. And so pretty much everything benefits and resonates with aqua systems and water. So our bodies are 70% water.
So I
right?
want to touch real quick. You mentioned something really awesome. You said aquatic culture, and you've mentioned like a couple different types of microorganisms. And one of the main things that I got from the lecture from Leighton was that what big pharmaceutical, or not pharmaceutical, but big companies like Monsanto are doing with their pesticides is specifically killing one type of microorganism within these cultures. And when you think about that in terms of a greater scale, when you think about endangering species, what happens when you remove the top predator from that ecosystem? It goes way out of balance. It goes way out of
If you
whack.
remove anything, you could remove bees,
Yeah.
you can remove
Move
wolves.
the little
The
guy,
whole
move
thing is
anybody
out
from
of
it.
whack.
So they've been playing with spraying all these chemicals that just destroy certain types of little microbiology in the surrounding nature, and they don't think that that's going to have an effect on those mini cultures, those mini systems that happen. We are
I don't think that they don't think that it will. I don't think they don't think it will. I think that they know it will. They just, one,
Yeah.
don't care, or two, it's either one, that they don't care and they don't care about human health, or two, they're intentionally trying to disrupt health and wellness of, not just humans, but life on Earth,
I
which
think it's
that's a whole
more
rabbit hole in
ignorance.
itself.
I think it's ignorance in the sake of for profit. I think that's all it is.
I think that would be nice if it was just that. I mean, it wouldn't be nice, but it would be nice to have an answer if it was just that. But the thing is, we can't say it's an answer. We don't know. And it's such a stupid thing, and it's so very clear and detrimental to even them. If it's just rich people that want to poison the earth, it's going to come back and screw them. Maybe not in their lifetime, but their generations, their future bloodline, whatever it is. But my thing is, it can be either one. It doesn't matter. What matters is how the people that know this respond to it. So they're going to contaminate the earth. They're going to contaminate our water systems. They're going to destroy our soils. They're going to try to kill these things unless they get stopped, unless something else comes about. And when you have most people just blindly supporting it, saying, screw it, the world's over, or, we're just going to, we want a pretty little lawn, so we're going to pump synthetics into our lawn and kill all the life so that it's in synthetic nitrogen fueling the growth of these plants. Well, then we're screwed. But if people that know this act accordingly, one is knowing, two is having the character to act accordingly, and start to create the change and disrupt these people from doing that, if the love overcomes the fear and hatred here, then we can fix this, right? It's all a reflection of us.
100%.
So it could be intentional, which to me, it's not out the window. It could, most likely just a bunch of rich people that don't care and trying to make money and all that. Could be something deeper. Conspiracies go deep, that, it's intentional. Something's trying to disrupt life on Earth. Something's jealous of humanity, whatever it may be. But my point is, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's all a distraction from us rising up and creating enough love to create the world that we want, where it blocks out that fear. Because I think our baseline as humans is love. And we're there's an entity that challenges that. And I guess our worthiness is dictated by how we respond. Are we conscious and do we have the character enough to create and fix and overcome this the way all things in nature are challenged? Or are we going to die off? It's survival of the fittest, is Darwinism, and it's a lesson that we're taught by looking outside and watching the way the soil is. It's a lesson we're taught by watching friggin' monkeys in the woods in Africa. It doesn't matter what it is. Nature tells us there's going to be challenges. Are we going to have the awareness to know that the alligators in the pond right in front of us, or are we just going to drink the water until it rips our head off?
Yeah.
That's it.
Yep.
And that in this really complex human nature is, are we going to stop poisoning our entire ecosystem? And are we going to rise up and fix that? Or are we just going to let it happen because we're preoccupied with nonsense and nothingness on a rat race to nowhere? And it's like, why are all these things being created? Where are we going? Where is everybody going? Everybody's moving so fast. They're so caught up in their daily activities. Like these things are all secondary to what they have going on. Where the fuck is humans going? Nowhere. There's nowhere to go. Are we going to go to Mars? No, what we need to do is honor and respect what's here and optimize our experience and live for this experience instead of trying to get somewhere anxiously, sympathetically, which comes down to that breath work. People can't understand this unless they develop the consciousness and the ability to understand this.
And so what we do as light leaders and as light warriors is enhance the vibrations of ourselves, so much so that it affects everyone around us. Everyone notices us, everyone sees it. We project ourselves to be these beings of light as much as we can by doing the work, by facing that fear and doing the work and leading it. Because the more that we can touch, one person vibrating at the highest frequency known to man is probably some crystallized human being in a cave in India.
Right.
Like, honestly. Like,
yeah.
And like people don't even know he exists or she exists, but they do. And it doesn't matter. And it's our objective to continue to ascend. As long as we know about it,
and to bring others with us. And so we're surrounded in this society by the distraction, the ultimate sympathetic hold into this world. We always talk about the tiger as the representation. You see a tiger in the woods and it pops up in the trail in front of you. What's your first thought? It's fight or flight. It's, I got to do something, but it's not a time where you're going to stop and think deeply. It's not a time where you're going to look around at the world and say, how can we make this a better place? And everybody is pulled in by the tiger that is society right now. Sympathetic stimulation is everywhere. They're so pulled into the world, they can't step back and think deeply. So we have to bring them to that depth of consciousness, relax their nervous system, get them that parasympathetic observation so they can settle down, see the importance of all this, and then become a part of it. And I really think that most people in this society are so low vibrational, but you have to hand that to them on a silver platter.
Yeah.
Either they've been traumatized and they faced something so traumatic that they want this change and they understand it and they see, man, I don't want to bring kids into this. We need to create a better world. Or they need it handed to them. And that, I think Thunderdome is partially handing it to them. It's a cool thing. It's engaging people through what they're interested in: exercise, education, events. Come over here. Look at this, right? It's an attraction. And then the food end of it, yeah, we're going to fix your soil. We're going to produce all this stuff. All you got to do is come to these events and support this community, and it's just going to regenerate itself. And then to say, take a step further, we'll cook the food right there and make boring vegetables, organic meats, all these things appealing to people, because they're not going to do that themselves at the rate that it's happening in the society. So the entire way we look at food and offer food, and we gather food ourselves as individuals from the grocery store and stuff, needs to change. The model needs to change. And so if you could have Thunderdomes popped up all over every town, and you could go there and get a healthy, cost-effective meal that tastes delicious, well, now you're changing what they have to do to get involved. And you're meeting them where they are, because they're not going to do this shit themselves.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think there's something to be said about also developing your own little dome like you're doing, and how your idea is to create your own mini farm on your own land and your own trees on your own land. And
you can see the platform out there ready to
like like really investing, like we are building the foundation. So you're doing things like planting fruit trees, getting things ready for the next 5 years, like looking in advance, building that foundation, planning on getting chickens,
Yeah.
planning
And,
on
and getting people the skills and the resources like you're talking about to do that. So at Thunderdome, we let's say we partner with a farm and we maximize what we're doing at that farm. Well, we work into the neighborhoods. Hey, if we can do this, imagine these people have to do this all themselves. Or we go into them and say, hey, you got some land right here. What if we help you like make a killer spot where you're producing your own food? And this gets 10 birds stoned at once. It gets so many, there's a multitude of benefits of that, all the way down to transportation of goods, preservative, packaging, plastic, all of that shit eliminated because of localized food and the optimization of that.
Imagine if we invested in that as opposed to war. Imagine
Yeah.
Imagine if we invested in that for 2 days. The amount of money that goes into the war, the what's it called? Just like war in general, the war machine or whatever. Like it's insane. It's insane the amount of money gets pushed into that.
And it's been normalized.
It's
been completely normalized.
Tanks are rushing into Ukraine right now. Like tanks are literally being driven into Ukraine. Why?
Because, well, here's why. And this is in a broad spectrum, right? Here we go. It's because whatever is challenging human consciousness and human worthiness is implementing these negative, and we don't know what that is.
Yeah.
But it could be just serving itself in a parallel spectrum to what we are. They might be, fear might be what drives them in this world. And whatever there is, there's an opposition and an entity that needs to be overcome. And that war, the military industrial complex, is a foundational entity of that because it provides the ability to control through force, right? And then we look at the other controlling factors. It's food, it's medicine, it's these major concepts. It's power
versus force.
It's power versus force.
I'm reading a book called Power versus Force right now.
But if our natural state is love and we have all these things, but it's asleep, then we are a result and a product of that fear. And unfortunately, this society, and the reason that these things are allowed to happen is because that most people as individuals are a product of that instead of producing it. And they've become evil themselves unintentionally because they're a product of evil. They've been manipulated to live a life that supports toxic habits that aren't serving us anymore. And we need to break that plane by elevating consciousness. And to do that, how do you tap into everybody's nervous system and get them to meditate? Because what you're talking about is meditate versus escape the world and just let it all happen.
So right? I'm glad you mentioned that.
It's the same thing as
I think there's people that are creating systems right now in terms of business that are allowing the expansion of people to raise vibrations through our technology currently. We're all tapped into these devices and phones, but there are people who are building systems that are going to allow us to, like, at least from what I'm looking at and what communities I'm a part of, there are people that are looking to build these systems from a spiral standpoint as opposed to a pyramidal structure in terms of business. They're allowing other people to branch off and create their own things, even within themselves. Like the money is not funneled for the purpose of something that's based on greed. It's funneled for the purpose of something built on love. And that is where we are headed. And that
will reflect in regenerative growth, natural growth, lack of resistance.
The old model is dead and it will continue to die. Like the pyramid structure, people at the top fall apart pretty quickly nowadays. Like in lesser forms, like we've seen it in a couple of the businesses that have launched over the past couple of years. We know of one. I think you know what I'm talking about.
FTX, yeah, baby.
Yeah, all that shit. But like even more so, it's like you said, like the more we approach these things with love, it's really, that's the fucking answer. It's I wanted to mention something kind of funny. This is sort of a tangent here. We can go back to this. But So the year of the tiger just ended. I don't know if you're, yeah.
Yeah.
So the next year, I just remembered this. The next year is year of the rabbit. This year is likely to be calm and gentle and bring energy to those looking for more of a balanced life. So we're looking to balance after the trauma and the fear and the freeze and the things that have been happening globally. We're bringing balance and love this year.
The shock of the awakening and the observation of this deception that we're living underneath, and the poor effects of that, which COVID and the vax to me are huge components of that, because they're exploiting it. And a lot of people that never would have made the cross are now understanding and expanding. What we're seeing is that light starting to expand. And let's to go back when I was 12 years old, 13 years old, and I was told that the world wasn't going to end in 2012, because we had asked our spiritual mentor, what's going to happen? You know, people say Nostradamus, the calendar enders, the whole deal. And he says, 2012, the world's going to change. There's going to be an awakening. Humans are going to raise their vibration, and our souls are going to rise up from the power in our stomachs to the love in our hearts. And that's going to happen because of truth and the inability to lie. And I can't fucking, every day I think about how spot on that was and how that's happening globally. And there's a physical representation. There's an exact reason why that's happening. And most of it is because of technology and our ability to spread this information and be able to film and have people accountable on camera, you know, and being caught in their deception, as opposed to behind the scenes, being able to control people and manipulate people much easier without this information everywhere. Mm-hmm. So it's just such a cool time period where if we can embrace it, there's a natural movement of awakening and towards a golden era. And I think that's ironic, because right now everybody's doom and gloom, recession, war, and the world's going to add people, the elites are going to kill everybody. We're going towards digital credit systems, this and that. And it's like, wait a second, all of that is also a distraction to the fact that we're rising.
So I mentioned this before you even came on. I was talking a little bit about the breath and the contraction and the fear behind the breath, and how when you approach these breath holds, because we were talking about CO2 breath holds, when you approach these breath holds and you approach them with fear, there's contractions, all these contractions that are happening. This contraction has been happening for a long time now. Like a long time. It's been creating dysfunction, just been creating patterns that are just like not great globally, all over the place. And the second we decide to actually look at this from, like, change our perception of it, change how we approach it emotionally, the second the whole thing will respond. And it's it will reflect 1,000-fold. This love that we can bring into the pain, into the contraction, into, like, literally think about when you're holding your Kali Mudra and you're holding your breath and you're on an exhale and you feel the pain of, you feel these trigger responses through your body, through your mind. If you approach it from a sense of love, if you approach it from this is healing energy, this is not fear, this is healing energy, then you will go further. You will tap further into stillness, into
like you talked about with the breath holds.
Yeah.
With exercise, with fitness. If you are in someone's mount and they're choking you from a front guillotine, a mounted guillotine, and you're not getting choked to the point where you're going to tap, so you can sit in there, but people get tapped from pressure. It's called a pressure tap. Mm-hmm. Can you relax yourself in that situation? Same with the breath hold. You go to hold the breath, it's like, oh, wait. Like, you know, I'm being suffocated. But if you realize, if you just relax and let go, how much easier that is. Same with the Q-tip in the nose. So I've been doing that the past day. And my stuff just came in. I have a really screwed up nose. I broke it several times. Thing is as deviated as hell as it gets. And so that oil, sunflower oil, I think it is, right?
White flower, yeah.
White flower oil, sunflower.
Don't put
white
sunflower
oil up your nose. Don't put sunflower oil up your nose. White flower oil. Anyway, I already like the effects that it's doing, but you know, I couldn't get the Q-tip that far up my nose, and when I did, my body panicked, because that's a traumatized area. It sneezed, this and that, and I just kept relaxing and I was able to get a little bit further and a little bit further, and that is the spectrum. of life. And society is redlining the sympathetic chaos, lack of control, lack of ability to produce your environment. Just move and escape reality because bad things are happening, or you can let go and go the other way, trust the process. And that in that is the experience of life on earth and nature and what we are as our natural beings, which doesn't have much of an objective: reproduce, eat, sleep, live a pleasant life. We throw that out for the rat race to nowhere, when if we just honored what was here, we could get as far as we want without imploding. And this path is just implosion.
Yeah. I agree 100%. This conversation has been amazing. As always, Jim.
It usually is.
Oh, I'm so
We've
glad
had
you
so
could
many of
come
these
on.
conversations, just the two of us.
Yeah.
It's good to try to get it out. I like the Telegram thing. It's good to get it out and do some more podcasts. Once this dome is up, I'm hoping to do a weekly podcast.
Dude, we can just YouTube it and put it in this group and start it. It's already
Done.
started.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Already started. Let's go. Did you say you have to get going today, or you still
Yeah, I
want?
would say 3:30 is probably my limit. I'm gonna meet with a customer right down the street at 4.
Okay. Yeah. Dude, this was fantastic. We've hit so many. We've heard, like, did you see Harrison's comment? He's like, "Y'all are on fire." Kind of check.
No, thanks, Harrison. I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're listening, and you're on fire for that. So we appreciate you, and appreciate your support and your comment. And
Do we have anything else we want to touch on? Because this was, I mean, we went really deep and we talked about a lot of.
I think what we touched on good here in this one was the fact that our breath work as individuals and our ability to practice it and help others understand it and get there and tap into everybody's nervous system is what will reflect in a better world. It is what will create the level of consciousness needed to display the character, to take action on what we need to do, not what we just want to do, not what feeds in what's easy. And that's one thing, is people always mistake the sympathetic for being hard and the parasympathetic for being easy. Oh, you gotta slow down and do nothing and just breathe? It's easy, right? No, not in this day and age. But then even a workout is easy. I find that easy, but people play it like it's hard. All the sympathetic things we do as a society, just keeping it rolling. It's easy. We're stuck in that. That's what we are. What's hard is conquering the opposition of what you are. And so it's hard for people to slow down, to embrace, to note, to realize that we're not going anywhere, and we're put in this earth to experience life on earth and connect to nature and live a healthy, pleasant life. That's hard for people to do.
And what I would recommend for anybody who's needs help or like doesn't have it figured out is to find a mentor and a friend that you can resonate with, that has something that you might not have, or can share something that you might not know, and be curious and be open to change. Because I can't say enough about the people in my life that have helped me move forward, and Jim being one of them. Jim being somebody who got me into fitness, into having fun with fitness, into strength, into all of these things. I have had many mentors, and I am appreciative of all of them. And it's not, like, I'm not saying go throw a bunch of money at some guy that you think looks too fit or whatever. Connect with somebody, invest in them, invest in their energy, invest in a product that you can see turning into, I don't know, better things for you. Like, for example, the soil thing, better things for the earth. Think in terms of hiring your vibrations to hire those around you. Think in terms of energy exchange. Don't just think in terms of low vibrational things. Build yourself up so we can all build each other up. It's
energy exchange and alignment, what aligns with you. I think one of the things that people give up their creativity, their passion, their alignment, and enter that rat race to nowhere is fear and safety. So if you can
Oh, he's
Trust the process and trust who
Wait.
you are.
Yeah,
And it's
yeah.
just harder to do. It's harder to do than getting a 9 to 5 that's safe and you hate it and you don't have time to work on yourself. I made this quote that says, what was it? You must create free will in order to have the free will to create. A lot of us in this community are creative. We want to create something. We want to build something. If you work all the time for something that you hate and try to, get by in your want to live with some type of expectation or social expectation from other people, you're not going to create shit. You're going to sit there and procrastinate it. So part of my battle has been, how do I pay my mortgage? How do I do these things? And while doing that, create more free time for my free will to create this stuff, this vision.
Mhm.
And that's been the biggest battle.
I think you're tapping on it right now, and it's creation. It's stop being a consumer, stop diving into consumerism. We
Product.
all spend too much time consuming. Take half that time you spend consuming and turn it into creation. Turn it into something that's gonna, yeah. I mean, obviously we want 100%, but
Be a
like,
product or produce.
yeah, it's like yeah, exactly. And it's like it's really about that. It's about being the creator as opposed to being the consumer. Take the time, take half the time that you spend consuming. You can still consume. We all like to do
So
it.
to touch on that real quick,
Yeah.
and that comes down to what we're in this group for in the first place. Daily practices. What is hard? Putting in that daily practice. What's easy? Putting it aside to get your day done with and do all these things. Oh, I got to do this, that, and the other thing. It's never going to work if it's always, I got all this stuff to do. I can't exercise and do breath work. It's, I got to exercise and do breath work. So I'm not going to get all that stuff, which
Yeah.
is harder thing to do. It's the discipline.
Absolutely. I was talking about how that's actually like at the beginning of this call, that was like one of my struggling things right now. But it's also we were diving into more of like, yes, there's that discipline and everything. Axel and I, before you got on here, we were talking about trauma, and how a lot of us are stuck in that frozen state, and how in order to detox, we need to really give ourselves the space to do so. And that again is, like you said, it's the hard work and the discipline, but it doesn't have to be that. Hard work and discipline can be space. It can be a loving space for you to do the healing things that need to be done. So
I think the more you go at it and accept that challenge and conquer that challenge, the more it becomes playful.
yeah.
Someone who's in shape loves to go work out. Someone who's out of shape, got to conquer that. You got to get themselves to love it, which is one of the reasons with, breath work can be intimidating to people. It's very hard these days in the sympathetic era to conquer the opposition of what you are, sit there and breathe. That it's difficult to people, which is why I started with the flow method on all my clients. And just start with little meditations, little bits of breath work frequently. So they don't think, fuck, I got to sit here for 20 minutes. This is going to be miserable. And then that subconsciously they avoid it.
Yeah.
And they lose their practice. They do what's easy. And then all of a sudden they're not disciplined with it. But if you get in the habit of conquering that and see how deep you can go playfully in 3 minutes, how deep can you go? How much can you slow your breath? Can you get one max breath hold? Then they become more connected to it. They become more skilled at it. They get in the habit of starting it and practicing it. And that is results in long-term better results than just trying to hit it. If you're trying to lose weight, don't just go to an ass kicker boxing class, because you're gonna be like, oh, after it, and
Yep, breaking up a little, but
subconsciously avoid that.
yeah. It's so like I was touching on a little bit about detoxing and stuff too, and giving yourself time to feel things, because there's that, we're talking about that freeze state once again, where people are so out of tune with their emotions, with their bodies, with like life in general and energy in general. and do things like connecting with nature, removing these blockages and these frequencies that are attacking us constantly, getting in tune with nature, getting just tapped into yourself and how you are doing on a daily basis. What do you need? What do you actually need in terms of need stimulation? Because nobody actually needs stimulation. Remove those words from your mind. You do not need to watch TV. You do not need to be on your phone. You do not need like this drama.
Uncontrolled stimulation at the very most. And what you're saying now is also a reflection of the collective. This is us as individuals, but this is a reflection of the collective. Like you said, getting back to our roots, connecting with nature, taking the time to put your feet on the ground, taking the time to look at the sun. And the perfect analogy is, well, someone's like, well, I gotta get this done with work so I can get to the next level so I can be happy. Well, they get there and they don't feel any different. Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
But if
Alan
they just
Watts.
went the other way, if
Yeah.
they said, "Oh, I did that stuff that I know I should do because the science has told me that that's what needs to happen to feel happiness," well, they didn't even need to do their fucking work. They would have gone and got happy, and then they would have been able to flourish in work because it's a reflection of their inner being.
Yeah.
They conquer the external material world in an attempt under the illusion that that's going to provide them with their internal being, when really they should be working on their internal being and utilizing that to reflect in their external world. Which is why, like, when I had the gym and the dojo and I had all my clients and stuff, I just knew that it was almost holding me back from vision more than it is helping my vision, even though it is what I practice. I'm training all these people daily. Well, it's consuming my time and my energy to the point where when I got to my creative time, I was lacking. It was so much over there. So I had to do what's hard and give up that in order to create the free will, to have the free will to create.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. 100%. It's got to be your next post on Instagram.
I got it made on Canva. I'll send it to you. You can check the artwork for me. That's one thing I'm struggling. I got the whole Tiger transformation ready to rock. I think I'm gonna launch it for something in March, but I got to check the artwork with you, man, because I don't know if what I'm looking at looks good or not. I don't know.
Yeah. I'll take a look. We'll dual post it. It'll be great. It'll be a great year to sign off the year of the Tiger and just fucking write a big fucking check mark. Fucking write the check for that one. Fucking send
fucking
it.
check already. Writing checks, baby. Slamming decks, writing checks.
Yeah. All right. Well, this has been a pleasure as always, Jim. Seriously. It's always good to shoot the shit with you.
Yeah, absolutely. If you want, we can put it up on always a fucking pleasure.
I'm gonna
we
put
can
it
put
up
this
on
the YouTube channel if you want.
Yeah, I'm putting it up on a private YouTube as of right now, and just keeping it within the Telegram group until I have time to like edit it more. But yeah, this is, because I can always trim it later, and I kind of just want to throw it up for the community that is being created, that people that want to listen to it can see it, and then we'll spread it and let it kind of flourish into itself.
Absolutely. Maybe cut it up a little bit too. I apologize for the setup here, because this is not great. I had my knee chair out in my shed with my background, the whole thing ready to go. I haven't figured it out yet. So. I'm on my phone now.
We're working on it. It's more about the content that we're sharing and creating than the visuals of it, But it's gonna be good, man. I'm excited about all of it. There's, as soon as like, the more time we create for ourselves, like, what is it? What is the saying again? The more free will, or say it again.
In order to have, you must create free will.
Yeah.
In order to have the free will to create,
You must create free will.
you must create the freedom. Right? You have to create the free will in order to have the free will to create. If you want the freedom to do something, you have to create that freedom.
How? Yep. And we know how. We have the tools, everybody does.
Me too. And doing what's uncomfortable
and accepting challenges, conquering them and overcoming that is what gets people there. Get outside your comfort zone is where you'll grow. If you just do what's easy and say, hey, I want to be safe, I want to get this little job, but I'm going to create a business someday and I'm going to do this, that, it's never going to fucking happen.
Yeah. And we're at a point where we're going to bring a little bit of balance to the world this year. We're going to bring that balance.
I don't know how it is.
We're going to create that free will so we can create.
I know I got to get going, but one quick thing here about balance, man, and it's about love and the balance of love, because this is something that's really prevalent in my life right now. When I first got into spirituality, spiritual nature, raising human vibration, how can we do this as a collective? I thought that love had to be nice and love had to be just, oh, you're forgiven, stomp around, do what you want, this and that. But as I've gotten older, I've realized that ain't it either. And tough love exists. Love is in truth, and telling someone how it is and being truthful about it might be hard, but you don't have to just be a pushover to express love. Like, if you're trying, for example, with the vax, if pushing this, the truth about the vax versus supporting that narrative, or you could sit back and not push your truth about this whole thing because you don't want to be socially demonized. You don't want other people to look at you as a crazy guy. You don't want it to affect the business, this and that. Well, that's fear. That's not love. So I'm going to speak the truth. We're going to speak our truth, and we're going to forgive everybody, but not forget. And we're going to act accordingly to that, because that's right. And that's love. Love is not just saying everybody's okay, it's over with. That there's challenge in love, and there's courage. It's not always peaches and cream.
Yeah. Well said. Well
Thanks.
said.
Thank you.
Good to end on that. Fucking excellent.
Yes, sir.
I will put this recording up. For those that don't follow, this is Three-Eyed Tiger on Instagram, 3_tiger _eyed_tiger. There we go.
Yep. Three-eyed tiger. It's an orange symbol.
For people that want to learn more about the soil regeneration project, we do have links and stuff to that.
For you to do at your home. You can do it right in your backyard.
I'll actually include that. I'll include that in the YouTube. And then for anybody that wants to, further this conversation, or who has questions or even just comments, you can either throw them in the Telegram chat or even on the YouTube channel page. Not the channel, but the video itself. Looking forward to hearing everybody's response to this and posting it up. So thank you to all. And
thanks to everyone who does listen in the future too. If you made it this far, I love you. I love you anyway. Hey, I love all of you anyway. But if you made it this far, I really love you.
All right, Jim. Have a great rest of your day, and we'll talk soon.
All right, brother. You too. Thank you.
Peace out.
Peace.